Good evening, folks. Welcome to the second Tiger Bite of this week, as previewed earlier in the week. And tonight, of course, we are going to focus on the Championship Riders Individual meeting, which comes for the first time of asking to a Scottish track, to Glasgow, on Sunday afternoon. I'm Derek Smith. Hope you've enjoyed your week and are looking forward to the excitement, the prestige, the glamour of Sunday's fixture. To help me talk through the lineup and discuss the fortunes and fates of perhaps of some of the riders involved is my sidekick, Brian Copeland. Hello again, Brian.
Hello, Derek. We've seen an awful lot of each other recently.
Let's just stop meeting like this. Absolutely, absolutely. Brian, so a big meeting on Sunday, a big occasion, and well deserved for the club first and foremost. And of course, it's a measure of how far the club have come in the past 3 years.
Yeah, it is. To have a meeting like this staged at our own track, it's probably the biggest, out with the league championship, it's probably the biggest meeting of the year, in respect of the championship itself. So fantastic to have it at Glasgow. A real honour to have it coming up to Scotland for the first time, because usually it's a journey down to Sheffield or further south for it. So and what a lineup we've got as well. Probably one of the best fields we've ever seen at Ashfield since we came back to the stadium all those years ago. So yeah, just really looking forward to it, and I think it'll be a spectacular occasion.
It genuinely is a superb lineup, and hopefully there's lots of more southern-based Speedway fans who are going to make the journey up over the weekend and arrive in Glasgow on Sunday and get behind their own representatives in what is a talented rider field, Brian. Now, you've got the full 1 to 16 in front of you. Just going to take a quick trip through that lineup, and you and I are going to go out on a limb and share our views on each individual's prospects, Brian.
Yeah, well, I'll rattle through them. There's a few we'll stop off at on the way. But the lineup as it stands, so that the draw has obviously been made, and the lineup in this following order. We've got Steve Worrell of Newcastle, of course, twin of our own Richie Worrell. Number 2 is Jason Garrity of Redcar, obviously quite a spectacular rider. Number 3, we've got Michael Pam-Toft of Scunthorpe, who I believe has been called in, or certainly has stood in to replace Lewis Kerr in the lineup. A bit of a late change. I know that Lewis Kerr was initially drawn to be in the meeting, but now Michael Pam-Toft is going to be taking part in that one instead. And at number 4, we've got Edinburgh's Ricky Wells. I'm sure we'll see a big crowd through from Edinburgh on Sunday to back their men, and I think Ricky will have a decent chance. He, of course, came quite close in the Ben Fund meeting earlier in the season. I think he finished 4th in that. And a little bit earlier on, I caught up with Ricky about his prospects for Sunday and how his 2017 was going. Okay, I'm delighted to be joined now by Edinburgh's Ricky Wells on Tiger Bite to preview this Sunday's Riders' Championship. Good evening, Ricky.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on Tiger Bite. We are, of course, looking forward to this weekend's event at Glasgow, but I thought I'd quickly recap your 2017 so far, Ricky. Just having a little bit of a look there at the green sheet averages before I come on. You've almost added a point to your average this season since making the switch to Edinburgh. You must be pretty chuffed with how this year's gone so far.
Yeah, I'm happy with it so far. It was, I think it was a good kind of a refreshment from my years at Workington and stuff. I enjoyed them, but I think it was time for a change. So, I've always done good around Edinburgh, and as soon as they approached me to ride for them, I was quite happy. So I think it's paid off in the long run, and I really hope to be back there next year.
Yeah, one thing that someone like Craig Cook has said in the past, he of course spent some years at Workington, then made the switch to Edinburgh, and he said that the smaller track just helped him to adapt to a different type of circuit. Is that the similar situation with yourself?
Yeah, it's one of them where I've been on small tracks pretty much my whole career, starting in America really. But I was at Wolverhampton for 3 or 4 years, and did the Sheffields and the Workingtons and stuff on big tracks. But I think it's the biggest thing is it's a good club. So you're happy there. You enjoy turning up there on a Friday. Actually, Sam Masters said the same thing as what Cookie said. He says, once he started going to Edinburgh, things started going a little bit better from away from home. So it is good. It's when you go turn up somewhere for work, I guess you could call it, and you enjoy doing it and stuff. It makes it kind of half the battle, really. It's if you don't like doing it and you don't like driving to the track, it's I think there's a few tracks out there that I could imagine being like that. So it's that's a big thing for me, and it's I think I've done my time on big tracks in England, I would say, with Workington and Sheffield all those years. So you don't really forget how to ride the big ones. It's yeah, it's good because, well, even with Rye House as well, I can ride the same bike at both tracks.
Absolutely. Of course, you guys have obviously made it into the playoffs as well. Is that partly down to the strong start that you had to the season? I think you guys ended up top for a while, and you've managed to sort of stay in the playoff positions ever since.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's all down to the start we had at the season. We were, everything was just working for us. Confidence was high. Went to Berwick, won. Went to Scunthorpe, won. Went to quite a few tracks and just won. And we did go off a little bit for one reason or another. Sam getting injured didn't help anything. Riding order played a big part of that too, I think. But I hope we had a good result at Scunthorpe again last a couple Sundays ago. Whatever, had a good two good home wins and stuff like that. So it does all start over now. Sheffield look incredibly strong. I'm not going to lie. I think it is theirs to lose, but I think we should have a good shot at Ipswich home and away. We did beat them at home, and they've actually run us pretty close at home as well. So I think that'll be a good meeting. And yeah, well, I think our team is built a lot like Glasgow's team. It's a strong top three between me, Eric, and Sam. And when all three of us fire at once, we will win. Glasgow's kind of the same, but it is all of us need to fire at once for us to get any results. So as soon as one of us has an off night, it does show. But we also need the second strings and the reserves to pull their weight as well. And hopefully we can. It all comes down to Thursday. If we can pull, I don't know, be good to go and win at Ipswich. I think everyone would like to do that. But if we can keep within 8, I think we'd have a fighting chance for the return leg the next night.
And you guys have, of course, welcomed back a couple of the riders that were out injured for a while. You mentioned Sam there, obviously Mark Race as well. That must be significant in terms of your chances of doing something in the playoffs. There can't be any better feeling than to go into that with a full 1-7. Yeah,
it's good, and that's the 1-7 I think we had from the beginning of the season. So we only got forced into changes through injury. I think Glasgow's the same. Sheffield have only made one change or something. So it's good to see that the top 4 teams have made minimal changes. I'm guessing, but everyone gets along really well, so it makes it easy. And we just need to be on our toes and stuff. If I had to pick anyone out of the top 4 or top 3 teams to be against on Friday, I think Ipswich should be the one. So luckily I don't think Sheffield wanted to go there, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, you talked about slightly bigger tracks there, and one of those you'll be racing on Sunday at Glasgow. What would it mean to you to go out and put in a good performance and perhaps come away with a trophy at that meeting on Sunday?
Yeah, it'd be good. That's always a tough meeting. It's always when you're seeing the calendar and stuff, and if you make it to that, you've had a pretty good season because you need a high average to get in it. So it's a track that I do enjoy, Glasgow. It can be tricky at times. It is a Gators track. A good thing I'm a Gator sometimes, I guess. But the first corners are pretty crucial there. Last time I was there, I made near enough every start, but kept getting done on the first corner. So done a few before. Every race is a heat 15, I think. They are tough, but if you can do good in that meeting, you're up there in the top riders in the Premier League. So it would be good to have a good one. I got second in it before at Sheffield. Quite happy it's not at Sheffield anymore. It was kind of the last one I did there was, I don't really know how to say it without swearing, but it wasn't good really. It was that deep on the outside, and if you made a start, you could just stay in that dirt. You know, it's yeah, Glasgow at least is a little bit more technical. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the Glasgow boys. I don't even know who's in it for Glasgow, but yeah, I think it was at Edinburgh to be just as good.
Yeah, in terms of that kind of meeting, do you feel a bit more pressure when you go to the tapes because you know that the three guys next to you are heat leaders, or does that take the pressure off a little bit because if someone finishes last, no one's really looking at them as failing?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I've always looked at it as a fun meeting. There's no money in it because they don't pay us hardly anything to do it, which is pretty dreadful anyway. But um, you're not throwing it like that way. But if you have a good first race or two and stuff, it puts you in the right frame of mind and stuff. But you are going to have to be trapping there on Sunday and to give you a chance. And yeah, if you can make some starts, you still need to get your head down and get a move on because there's going to be some quick guys behind you.
And you went close earlier in the season when the Ben Fun Bonanza was at Glasgow. I recall you had a really good meeting there, and I think you just missed out on winning the match. So I guess that you've done well in the past in an individual at Glasgow. That must sort of set you up a little bit to go out there and repeat that kind of performance.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. It was yeah, the first time I've ever actually done the Ben Fund, and went in there and didn't really care, to be honest. Just kind of turned up and was just a meeting to break the ice off and everything, and did a lot of writing back home and stuff, and turned up, hit the tapes in my first song, which is just typical me. But then won my next four, and then yeah, kind of was in second in the final in the back straight, but then just got swallowed up a little bit, rode the wrong lines and stuff, and yeah, it was a pretty tough final with Lawson and Bummer and I think Richie Worrell it was. So I was pretty bummed about winning all the heats except for one and then getting a last in the final. But oh well, it was for a good cause and stuff. But I've had oh, must be getting too late. I can't speak. I have had good meetings around Glasgow before. I've had some pretty frustrating ones as well. As you'll notice, while there's a few bins smashed on the way side of the pits, but you know, hopefully we can go there and make some good starts. And yeah, like I said, just I know my bikes have plenty of speed, so it's just down to me at the moment.
We'll try and get you some extra bin lids for Sunday, Ricky. Hopefully you won't have to use them though. So it's one final.
You got fined once for something.
We won't tell, I promise. One final thing I wanted to touch on, Ricky, was we recently had Greg Hancock on the show, and obviously he's talked through some of his thoughts in terms of the American speedway scene and the international sort of prospects as well. You've obviously been involved in that of late and in the World Cup and things. What's your opinion of where American speedway is at the moment, and what are your sort of aspirations in that respect over the next couple of years?
As far as my aspirations, I'm kind of at their disposal. Like I did take a year off the World Cup, going back a year or two ago. I feel like I needed it. We didn't see eye to eye with some of the people involved, but we've kind of gotten over that. I feel like Team America had a pretty decent year in the World Cup with no Greg and stuff. So we're always a team that weren't afraid to say it. We were relying on Greg a lot, especially when we got outside of England and all that. But this year did it without Greg. Obviously would have loved to have him in the team, but you got to respect his wishes. When I took a year out, I kind of got some. Well, everyone wasn't happy with that, but yeah, I think on afar there's some of the American speedway kids. They're really talented, but I think they have a lot to learn, especially riding in England. I think if a few of them went to Poland or Sweden or something on big fast tracks that are a little bit easier to ride, they could be better. But I think in the long run, they all want to come to England. Either whatever deep end you dive into, it's always going to be tough. But they should be okay on some of the tighter small tracks like Edinburgh and Rye House, those ones like that. But it can be pretty daunting a little bit when you go to Berwick on a grippy night or Workington on a grippy night or Sheffield, how it used to be. And I think they've got a lot to learn. I think some of them know that, some of them don't. But it was pretty cool to see the likes of Becker and Gino and Brock and Rummel and stuff like that, kind of mix it up a little bit. So I don't know if they all want to come over here full time. I don't speak to them on a daily basis or anything, but I think the future is bright. It just depends on what they want to do. So we can't rely on Greg to be here for the next 20 years, especially during the World Cup. So hopefully a few of them will come and join me living over here for the season. And yeah, hopefully we go to the World Cup next year and do a little bit better.
Yeah, exciting times indeed. Thank you very much for joining us, Ricky, and we look forward to seeing you at Ashfield on Sunday and wish you the best of luck for the meeting.
A buoyant Ricky Worrell, Brian. Talking up probably talking down. He's quite a modest character, isn't he, is Ricky? But a very talented rider. And in a meeting like this, you've got to make sure that you make 5 at least decent gates. And Ricky's possibly one of the better riders in that particular department.
Yeah, as he touched on, he is quite eager from the tape. Sometimes a little bit too eager. I think he would be the first to admit that. But like he touched on, you've got to make starts in this kind of meeting. And if you make a good start at Glasgow, it can sometimes be hard to get past you. So I'm sure it won't be a gate and go kind of meeting, because I think all the guys will be going for it. And when you've got such a level field and such quality in the field, I don't think it'll be all about the starts. But certainly that'll be a massive help. And if you're left behind at the tapes, then you're going to struggle. So yeah, good to hear from Ricky, shooting straight from the hip in respect of his views. And I think he seems to be enjoying his time through Edinburgh. So great to hear from him. Another interview we can bring in now is from Ipswich's Danny King, who lines up at number 5 in Sunday's meeting. Of course, the former British champion and Grand Prix in Great Britain star. And I caught up with Danny a little bit earlier on to hear his views about Sunday's meeting. Well, delighted to be joined on TIGERBITE by Danny King, the Ipswich number 1 and Great Britain international. Good evening, Danny.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, we speak to you just a few days ahead of the Championship Riders Individual up at Glasgow, which you'll be taking part in. Is that a meeting that you've had much success in the past?
Yeah, I think I've only done one, and I came second. So it's been pretty good. That was at Sheffield, but I'm looking forward to it. Glasgow's a track I really enjoy, and it's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong, but it's a good chance for me to try and do one better than last time.
How have you managed to avoid doing so many of them? Is it just through? Obviously, you spent a bit of time in the Elite League without racing in the Premier League. I'm guessing you've maybe missed a couple through injury and things as well.
I've only been doing Premier League for 3 seasons, sort of recently. I've done 1 PLRC, and I was in Poland the next time, and then this would be my 3rd. So yeah, that's the only reason I just mainly did Elite League.
We obviously are approaching the end of the season now, with the business end of the season upon us with the playoffs, etc. When you look back in 2017 on a personal level, Danny, what's your thoughts on how it's gone? I suppose it was always going to be difficult to match up to what you achieved in 2016.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It's been tough. It didn't start the way I wanted it to start. I finished 2016 really good, and I really wanted to hit the ground running this year, and it didn't quite happen. But I sort of got back to where I felt I was last year at mid-season, really. And I've had a bit of an injury that I've been struggling with towards the end of the year, but it's slowly getting better, and I feel it's getting better at the right time, because obviously playoffs upon us, and there's some big meetings coming up. So I feel I'm in a good position now going into the playoffs. It's never ideal carrying injuries, but as I say, it is definitely better than it was, say, a month ago.
Despite the fact you're still relatively young, getting my words out there, young rider, compared to some of the other guys, you're still quite experienced in the sport now. Do you still learn things? Obviously, you had the World Cup this year, which I'm sure would have been an experience for you. Do you still learn things when you're taking part in these kind of competitions?
Yeah, you're always learning. I'm a firm believer that you can never stop learning, and Speedway's a funny game. One day something can work, another day the same thing won't. So You really need to be on it at all the times and looking and watching and working hard with the equipment just to make sure you can stay at that level. So yeah, we're learning every time we go out on the bike, and that's something that I really believe in.
What have you learned over the last couple of years about yourself, given what you have achieved and the fact you've pushed on to obviously win a British Championship last year, be part of the international setup, take part in Grand Prix as well? What kind of things have you picked up and you can look back on now and have added to your sort of repertoire, if you like?
The main thing was believing in myself, believe it or not. I've been sort of at this level for a long time, but never really took that next step. And last year I proved to myself that I can do it. I can mix it with the best and I can beat the best. And it really opened my eyes because, when you've been trying so long at something and you've been at a high level, but you haven't quite achieved that next step, you start to doubt it. And last year I proved myself that I can do it, and it really opened my eyes, as I say. And now it makes me hungrier. It really does. As you say, I'm not the youngest, but I'm not exactly getting old either. So I've got a long way to go, and as I say, it's something now that I'm going to be pushing for. And I want to win another British title. I still want to be in the GP. So we need to work hard, and that's what I'll be doing.
When you look ahead to Sunday's lineup, I think a few people have mentioned or commented on the strength of the lineup. There's a lot of experienced guys there, guys that potentially even could be in the Grand Prix next year. There's British champions in there. What's your thoughts on the field, and how are you going to go out and try and win that meeting?
Yeah, it's a brilliant field. I mean, I think you've got some fantastic riders in the championship this year. It's going to be difficult. Glasgow's a track I really enjoy riding, but I also think it's a track that a lot of other riders enjoy riding, and it can be difficult to pass at times due to the squareness of the track being around the football pitch. And when you've got a lineup with top quality riders, it can be very difficult to make that move. So I believe that gating's going to be key on Sunday. If I'm going to be able to win, I need to make sure my gating's on top form and try and get my nose in front.
It's a little bit of a change, of course, having the event in Glasgow. It's usually been held sort of, middle of the country. Sheffield has usually been the host for that. What do you think about the fact it's coming north and the facilities that we can offer up at Glasgow?
Apart from the travelling, I think it's great. As I say, Glasgow's a track I always enjoy coming to. It's good fun. I love the banking of it, and I absolutely love the turn 3 at Glasgow. It's quite unique. There's not many speedway tracks like that with that banking coming into a corner, and it's very sort of, probably describe it as NASCAR-esque. It's very, very, very cambered, and it's just fun to ride. It really is. It's very different and it's fun. And as I say, I enjoy it personally. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I know it's not going to be easy. It's such a solid lineup, but hey, we'll see.
You mentioned turn 3 there. It can be a little bit daunting and terrifying for some riders. I guess you've got to have some balls to go into that full throttle.
Yeah, I have. I remember the first time I did it. I think I closed my eyes. But because of the banking, it pushes you in so hard, and you're carrying a lot of speed at the end of the straight there, and all you can see is the air fence. It literally pushes you in that much. You feel like you're just heading towards the air fence, and it's not till mid-corner that the banking absorbs you and sort of pulls you around the corner, and it is very daunting. And I'll never ever forget my first time riding the track like that. And to be honest, it's something I look forward to now, because it's the sort of rush that you get and the rush you enjoy as a speedway rider.
Yeah, and it would be remiss of us to interview you and not ask you about Ipswich. And of course, you guys are heading into the playoffs as a Glasgow. You face Edinburgh over 2 legs. What's your thoughts on facing Edinburgh? It's of course quite a different track. They've got quite a big home advantage in terms of Armadale. Is that somewhere you guys are quite happy to go and give a shot at it?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to go wherever we need to go. They're a fantastic team, and they're the only team, of course, to beat us at home this year. So I'm sure they've got that in their mind, and that's going to give them some confidence. But on the other hand, we'll take whoever we've got. We're happy with the track at Edinburgh. It is a tricky track, as you say. But we was there only last week, a week before, and we actually got a point with 5 riders because we had RR and we lost the rider in his first outing. So I think we've got a lot of positives to take into the meeting. but I suppose on the other hand, they're probably just as confident. So it's going to be tough, but I really believe in the team we've got at the moment. I think we're in good form going into the playoffs. So, I'm ready. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we're getting a little bit sick of the sight of Ipswich this season, because you guys obviously came and turned us over just last week at Ashfield. I suppose that kind of meeting must stand you personally in good stead for heading to Sunday. You've had a bit of experience on the Ashfield track this year.
Yeah, that's right. To be honest, the season sort of played out quite nicely for me, because we've been to Sheffield, Edinburgh and Glasgow literally in the last 2 weeks, and they're the 3 tracks that I'm going to be racing on in the next 2 weeks. So it sort of played out quite nice. Sort of fresh in my mind, and with bike setup and stuff. So some big meetings coming up, but I'm feeling confident going into it.
And finally, just touching on Sunday again, what's going to be the key to winning that meeting? Who's, for the man that stands on top of the podium on Sunday night, what's he going to have done to get there?
Gate better. I truly believe that starting is going to be the key, because, as I say, there's a lot of quality riders in that field, and we all know in Speedway, if there's a good rider in front and he doesn't make many mistakes, it's hard to pass. So I really, truly believe starts and first corners are going to be key.
Well, we look forward to seeing you, Danny, on Sunday, and what is a stellar lineup, and you must start as perhaps one of the favourites. So thank you very much for joining us on TIGERBITE, and best of luck when it comes to Sunday.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Danny King Bryan. I got him down as a bit of a dark horse in the lineup on Sunday. He hasn't had a spectacular season when he's visited Ashfield so far, but he's always capable of popping up with a few heat wins, and if he can build his momentum towards the end of the meeting on Sunday, he might not be too far away.
Yeah, like Danny touched on, it's been more of a steady 2017 compared to the kind of spectacular 2016 that he enjoyed. Like you say, he's capable. I think there was one of the meetings earlier in the year when Ipswich turned up, and I think he went for 2 or 3 races without winning a race, and then he went out and won 3 in a row, heats 11, 13 and 15, and was untouchable in those 3 heats. It sort of came from nowhere almost. So I think he certainly got dialed in terms of his setup. As you heard from him, he loves the track. He's quite keen to get stuck into the third bend, which is no mean feat. So he could be, like you say, it's strange to talk about Danny King being a dark horse for this kind of meeting, but when you look at the quality of the lineup, there's so many that you can pick out as a winner. He'll quietly go about his business, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him making at least the semi-final on Sunday.
So who else have we got, Brian? Danny's at number 5. Who's number 6?
Danny number 5. So move on to number 6, and another man that Glasgow fans will be familiar with, in Nick Morris, who of course has been riding for Berwick for most of this season and has really enjoyed an upturn in his fortunes this year. And it'll be good to see Nick back at Ashfield. Chris Harris rides at number 7, the Peterborough man, another quality performer. Was in the Grand Prix last year. So the quality of this field just doesn't get any weaker as you go through the lineup. It's quite remarkable. But Chris, we saw him just recently at Ashfield, and I'm sure he'll be there to entertain the fans. Another entertainer, Josh Grzyonic, lines up at number 8 for Sheffield. He enjoyed a 15-point maximum a few weeks ago for Sheffield at Ashfield, so I think he's got to line up as one of the outstanding favourites for this. I think there's 2 or 3 right at the top, and I think he's got to be in that group. And another man that you mentioned, sorry, Derek.
Sorry, Brian. I was just going to say that's quite a heat number 2, Brian.
Yeah. Danny King, Nick Morris, Chris Harris, and Josh Grzyonic. Pick your winner from that.
Could easily a final.
Yeah, and another spectacular heat after that. We've got Kyle Howarth at number 9, another Sheffield rider, and again, possibly another dark horse. He came to Ashfield a few weeks back and certainly knew the fastest way around it, and beat a couple of our top boys. Craig Cook lines up at number 10 for Workington, the British champion, of course, and he came very close to winning the Premiership Riders' Championship at the weekend. So, again, another guy who's got to start as one of the favourites. Our own Richard Lawson lines up at number 11, who will be desperate to go and prove a point in this kind of field. And again, there's not too many who go and beat Richard Lawson around Ashfield on his day, so he could be in for a big day. And I believe you caught up with Richard earlier in the week, Derek.
Yeah, I spoke to Richard after the Peterborough meeting on Sunday, and we had a look at his prospects for this meeting on Sunday. Here joined by
by Richard Lawson. Richard, a defeat for the Tigers this afternoon against Peterborough, but I guess in the bigger scheme of things, a meaningless fixture.
Well, yeah, it was, but you never want to lose at home, and you know, we struggled a bit, but you know, I think we need to try and put that behind us and then get our form back for the most important, the playoffs.
And away from team affairs, we're at the end of the season where all the big individual meetings come round, and last night you rode in the Premiership Riders Championship. A week today, of course, we're all very excited to stage the Championship version here at Ashfield. Home track advantage, Richard. Again, such a strong lineup. Is there such a thing?
Well, I suppose, yeah, I've rode it every week, so I should have some kind of advantage, but in that field it's going to be a tough feat, you know. Anybody who wins that, you know, will have to ride hard, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's great that Glasgow have got the meeting in the first place, so I'm sure it'll be a brilliant day.
You tend to have quite a good performance level at individual meetings, if you don't mind me saying, so one you've got some high hopes of doing well in?
Yeah, I want to, yeah. I've made the final a couple of times in the PLRC, so you know, never managed to get on that top step, but yeah, I don't mind the individuals, and yeah, I'm like I say, I'm looking forward to it.
Any special prep at this time of the year, given your work getting to the business end of the season?
Basically, you know, I just get the bikes on tip-top condition. You know, I worked it out so we've got both engines fresh, back from service for next week and stuff. So no, not feeling fit, feel good. So not carrying any injuries and things like that. So my form's pretty good at the minute, and yeah, like I said, I'm excited.
Thanks for talking to us. Have a good week, rest up, and we look forward to seeing you in action against the top of the boys in the league next Sunday here.
So Richard, you know, he's got a good pedigree at individual meetings, Brian. He's probably a bit frustrated he hasn't quite made a rostrum place, because he did in the Ben Fund at the start of the year. But when it comes to these individual riders championships, he's always performed better than not. But on his home track, and he mentioned there, he admitted that he must be accused of having some home advantage given he's ridden the track for 3 seasons. Hopefully on his home track, Richard will just make that breakthrough and perhaps get to the final and climb on that rostrum.
Yeah, and I think he has had several close calls, really. I think he's made the final of this particular competition twice. You know, he's come close in British finals a couple of times, made the semi-finals. So I think he's just kind of waiting to go that extra step, and surely it's only a matter of time for someone of his calibre to go on and you know, get a rostrum place, if not better, in a meeting like this. But this will be one of the tougher fields that he's faced, I think. So he'll have to really have his gating gloves on Sunday. Completing that next heat is number 12 riding is Edinburgh's number 1 Sam Masters, another man who's more than capable of going, and of course a past winner of this event as well when it was held down in Sheffield a few years back. Number 13 is another one of our own guys. That's Mr. Richie Worrell, who has picked up his form quite substantially of late, and another one that you had a chat with, Derek.
Yeah, Richie's been in great form for the Tigers over the past week or two, and I took advantage of his good mood to talk to him and reflect on his chances.
Okay, less than an hour now till tape's up on Glasgow versus Redcar, and what's been billed as a must-win tonight. Richie, first, before we talk about tonight, a quick look back to last night's trip to Armadale and a powerful performance on an individual level by yourself, Richie. You took the fight to the Monarchs.
I enjoy riding Edinburgh. It's a technical track. I kind of think it suits my style. Very optimistic going into the meeting as to the result. I think Stuart was as well. He said, you know, I'll be more than happy if we can take a point away from this, and we came very close to winning it in the end. It's a shock result really to me, because we was patched up. You know, we was patched up, and fair play to the guest that came in and did the job that he was brought in to do. And you know, we nearly got the result.
Nearly got the result last night, but we can't nearly get a result tonight, can we? We can't really afford it. We want to get the job done tonight, Richie. Don't move a Redcar.
Yeah, we need to get the job done. It's a must-win meeting tonight against a tough Redcar team. You know, the tracks are very similar in their own little ways, and you know they've got a good team. So they'll be ringing it to us tonight, and obviously there's only 2 Tigers here tonight, myself and Aaron. So hopefully, you know, the same as last night, the guests that come in do the job of what they're brought in to do. Hopefully Stuart's made wise decisions on the guests, and we'll see what happens.
See what happens tonight. I'm going to ask you to look ahead to next Sunday, so a week tomorrow, the League Riders Championship, or whatever the title is this season. And on your home circuit, Richie, you've been riding particularly well this season. You fancy your chances to get in amongst the podium places?
I'd like to say, yeah, I really would. Home track, and it's going to be a tough meeting, though. It is going to be a really tough one. I'm not overlooking it, definitely not. I think I did an interview the other day, and I got asked, am I going to prepare it any differently for that meeting? No, not really going to. Probably mentally I will, because, like I say, it's such a big lineup. But I always make sure I put 110% into the bikes for every meeting I do, because I'm a bad loser. I want to win every race, but it's not an impossible thing to do. But yeah, I would like to get a result there, definitely, in front of all my own fans and on my own track. But I know it's going to be a tough ask.
Well, listen, now let's stop thinking about next Sunday. Let's concentrate on the job in hand tonight. Look forward to seeing you out on track against the Bears in less than an hour's time.
So Richie, as ever, he's very frank and honest, and he, by his own admission, he feels that he ought to be in there competing on Sunday.
Yeah, and when you hear him say that, I think he's got every right to say that, because it's his home track. And you look through the field and you see people who are capable, but our two have got to look at it as a massive opportunity. It's not often this kind of event will take place on their home track. So big chance, and I think Richie's form of late has really put him in a good position to go and do something on Sunday. And we move on to number 14 is Rory Schlein, Ipswich rider, who has had a couple of good meetings around Glasgow this year and has really settled in nicely down at Vauxhall this year, given the injury problems he'd had over previous seasons. So Rory, another one that you could look at as a possible dark horse. Number 15, a former Tiger, Ben Barker, who represents Redcar, and Ben's been he's had a pretty decent season. I think he's got back to his winning ways a little bit this year. And another man that you got a very brief word with earlier in the week.
Yeah, Ben was very focused on Saturday night when Redcar came to town, and I did ask him, and he admitted to carrying an injury currently.
Okay, I'm joined before Glasgow's vital championship clash with Redcar Bears here at Ashfield by Redcar's Ben Barker. Ben, welcome back to Glasgow first and foremost. You've been here a couple of times already this season and done rather well in Bears race jacket.
Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed all the meetings, and it's a good track. I enjoy riding it.
Ben, I've seen you just off camera, but I'm going to ask you now that we're on camera. I was a little bit surprised to see you looking so sprightly and well and smiling, because I had detected that you might have picked up an injury. Yeah,
I picked up a little knock last week, but it's all good. I feel good, so I'm 100%, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
And of course, a big weekend, a massive weekend for Redcar and for Glasgow, the way things have worked out. This next 3 nights or so are going to determine the final playoff spot. Glasgow, Edinburgh, Redcar. Any 2 from 3 will feature in the top 4 come Monday night. It's been a pretty competitive season down in Redcar.
Yeah, it's been a great year for us as a club. Some real big strides made, and so now it's about finishing the job and pushing real hard for playoffs. And I think we've got a great chance here today. We're nearly at full strength, and Glasgow are missing 5, so that's great.
Ben, I'm going to ask you about next Sunday, because tonight is a bit of useful practice for a week tomorrow when you're going to return and represent Redcar in the Riders' Championship here at Ashfield. What's your thoughts on getting a podium place in that particular meeting?
It's like the British final. You don't want to come second, you don't want to come third, you want to win it. So we'll just get these 3 nights out of the way, and then we'll focus on that nearer the time. I just want to get the Redcar up in the playoffs, and then we can worry about the other commitments after.
And Ben, if come Monday night Redcar find themselves in that draw for the playoffs, any preference about where you go?
I don't care. We're going to have to beat them all if we want to win, so just get stuck in.
Good man, thanks for talking to us.
Ben was far more focused on Saturday night's meeting than the Riders' Championship on Sunday, but we've seen what Ben was capable of. Look no further than the British final earlier this season.
Yeah, exactly. He's the kind of rider, possibly more than most of the riders in this field, that can spring a real surprise from time to time. You know, you kind of know what you're getting from a lot of the other guys. Ben can be inconsistent, but he can turn up, and like you say, the British final's a great example where he just rode out of his skin, and no one really knew how to deal with him. And he is the kind of rider that will come from the back as well. If he's not got his gating gloves on, watch him go, because you know, even Ashfield's sort of sweeping bends are not something that he fears. So really looking forward to seeing Ben on Sunday.
We all enjoyed seeing him in action on Saturday night. He throws back that left leg and away he goes, sailing round those bends, and he will fear no one on Sunday, and he's got to be another dark horse, I would suggest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the man completing the field at number 16, another man who you could quite easily look at as a potential winner of this meeting is Jack Holder, who of course represents Peterborough as well. And Jack's had a spectacular season. I think people kind of doubted Peterborough at the start of the year when they looked at Jack as being their number one on a 7-odd point average, but he's actually managed to keep Chris Harris out of that position at times since he joined Peterborough at some point during the season. So just proves what kind of season he's had as well, and a real hot prospect for the future. So that completes our lineup, Derek, and I think most people would agree it's one of the most competitive we've ever seen in this competition.
I think we ought to run a competition, Brian, for supporters to predict the top 3 for that meeting, because I certainly can't. You could make a case for any of those 16 riders to stand on top of the podium on Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was going to ask you to predict your winner, but that might be a little bit unfair, to be honest. You might as well stick a pin on the screen and pick which one you're going to go for. So I'm not even going to attempt it myself. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that makes it all the more exciting. I think there's no man that stands out. There's such an even field, and I just can't wait.
Definitely. So all roads on Sunday lead to the Peugeot Ashfield Stadium in Glasgow. Tapes up at 3 p.m. Our advice would be, we expect a big crowd with travelling supporters from around the UK heading to take in the meeting. Our advice would be to arrive nice and early, park up early, into the stadium and enjoy the facilities, and secure a good vantage for watching what promises to be an absolutely mouth-watering occasion. And I for one can't wait. And Brian, it's a bit of a relax again, isn't it, given all the pressure that at club level.
Exactly, yeah. A nice way to escape, depending on how the playoff results are going as well. So sit back and relax and enjoy a fantastic show of Speedway.
So folks, thank you for tuning in to this episode of TIGERBITE. We hope it's been informative and entertaining. Please post on Facebook. Let us have your predictions for your top 3. And if anyone gets it right, I'm sure we can come up with a prize, and we'll name check that winner next week. Thanks for joining, folks. See you on Sunday afternoon. Tapes up, 3 p.m.
Good night.